It's Tuesday, January 15th, Wednesday, January 16th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the snowy mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly to the SOR Radio Network, Deep Talk Radio, Rev Radio, and if you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire put together by Captain Shirk, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Insuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the Insuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. Tonight we are going to look into an earthly mystery of UFOs as we take a look at the man, the myth, and the ufology silent legend, Robert Bigelow, a billionaire out of Las Vegas who made his money with a hotel chain, which soon saw an addition of an aeronautics and space company looking for UFOs. He's owned Skinwalker Ranch. He's received the majority of the millions for UFO research provided by his buddy Harry Reid and the United States government. He's a black ops contractor. He loves his UFOs and is on record stating he's spent millions of his own money looking for life from other planets, and in the same breath saying you don't need to leave this planet to find UFOs or extraterrestrials. They're right here. Looking at Bigelow is blogger and researcher Danny Silva. Silva is relatively new on the scene, but is already garnering high praise from people like George Knapp and Grant Cameron about his studious work ethic on the subject. His website is silvarecord.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we are going to bring in Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine and the SOR Newswire. Danny Silva, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here, Mr. Scott. Thank you.
What a pleasure to have you. And it's Dave, because Mr. Scott would be my daddy. But nonetheless, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Now, you are relatively new on the UFO scene. You've been around for about a year, 14 months, something like that. But you have shot right up the ranks with a lot of people giving you praise. George Knapp giving you credit for some of the work you have been doing. And anytime Mr. Knapp can earn that or give someone that respect, it has to be pointed out. And congratulations to you on that. Grant Cameron has also stood up and said you're doing fine work as well, and Grant's a big friend of this show. Why did you decide to start looking into UFOs on a research matter?
I don't even call myself a researcher. Maybe at this point I could be considered it, but I just, I saw first off, I grew up just listening to the stories and listening to Art Bell and George Norrie and George Knapp on the radio, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And I just basically was on the sidelines, and then the New York Times story hit, and it changed everything for me. I kind of had to just reevaluate where I was and what I believed and everything. And ever since then, I haven't played a video game or watched very many movies or anything like that. I'm only doing this, and I'm obsessed with it, and I just want to find out everything I can find out about it.
It really is an addiction, isn't it?
It is. I'm just totally obsessed, and if I could put any kind of a title on myself other than blogger, or I don't even try to call myself amateur reporter. If I did, it would definitely be the amateur word is in front of it. But really, I'm just some obsessed guy over here, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
You know what? I want to give you credit, okay? Because so many people in this field, and we don't name names here, we allow the public to figure it out, they self-title themselves, yet you're humble enough and self-deprecating enough to admit what you are and what you are not. Why are you going down that road rather than the road that so many are taking these days in order to self-publicize and self-title themselves?
Basically, this isn't my career. This is a hobby, and I'd like it to be my career, but it's not. And I'm not. I didn't go to school to be a journalist, and I didn't I'm not doing, this hardcore research, or maybe I'm trying to, but I'm not trained at it for darn sure. And so, I need to tell people that. I'm also not affiliated with anyone. I only speak for myself. It's my opinion, and it's just how I'm basically processing this information and listening to other people and their opinions, and then I'm able to kind of figure things out myself.
When you got into this field, were you quite surprised to see how cutthroat and how backstabbing it really is, and you have to really try hard to stay away from that? I've been trying to be a musician for a long time in my life, and I just, as soon as I got into the music industry, I saw some of my favorites ever, just how sleazy they were and how they operated, and how everything was fake. And I shouldn't make absolutes, but there was just a lot of instances of that. So me coming over here to the UFO community, I would say it's not as bad as the music industry. So I was a little bit prepared for that, I guess. I haven't been as prepared to be a super public person, and I'm still kind of just kind of easing into that a little bit. But and there is a lot of arguing, and there's a lot of hatred and bad feelings. But I think at least in the end of the day, in the UFO community, people just want the truth, and even if they're kind of at each other's throats, in a lot of instances, I hope that it's just because they're trying to deal with this information or find it out for themselves. I agree with you in regards to that, because so many people out there are trying to figure out what it is up in the skies, what it is people are seeing, what it is they've seen. Have you had an experience that led you down this path, or has it just always been like a curiosity that's been going on for years, an itch you needed to scratch?
I've never had any kind of experience. I've never seen anything. Nothing like that has ever happened to me. I've had some weird stuff happen, and I can't say it had anything to do with the phenomena. More just like, having a dream or something like that, having a little thing in your mind. But I've never seen anything, and I'm not an experiencer. I'm just an interested person. That's kind of where I bring into maybe the amateur reporter in me is kind of coming out a little bit more, because I'm just trying to figure this stuff out. But no, so I'm totally normal, and I'm totally boring in that regard.
Oh, it's totally normal. I love that comment. It's such an abnormal topic where there's a bunch of woo and a bunch of us weirdos out there. For you to say you're totally normal, I don't know if you're salt or pepper right now, my friend.
Maybe I kind of put my foot in my mouth. I'm not trying to say anyone else is abnormal, but I live a pretty boring life over here, and I don't have any kind of those stories.
Yeah, I know what it's like. I know what it's like from the opposite side, because when I decided to start up this show, it was about learning about the experiences, because I'm not only a journalist, but an experiencer as well. So to be able to convey that and hear people's stories, it's intriguing. So I want to ask you point blank about the field of ufology. In the last 14 months that you've really, really hit home with it, what has been the biggest eye-opener for you at this point?
I mean, it was the New York Times story, and it's the videos, and it's to the stars looking into it. It's just, a lot of people argue the fact that, is this the biggest thing that's ever happened? Has it happened in the past? I don't know of any United States government releasing videos before. So to me, that kind of trumps everything, and this is the biggest thing. And to me, the government gave us confirmation. Like, it's happened already. The public generally hasn't accepted it. The UFO community has accepted it in a lot of ways. And then there's a lot of people that are mad. But, to me, this is it. This is the biggest thing. The government let it out, at least the confirmation part of it. And it changed everything. And to this day, I'm still confused about why you can just ask someone on the street and they've never heard about it. I don't know why that is. I think we're kind of chipping away at that and getting people more interested. Everyone is doing that. And I think with all these releases that are continuing to happen, not only from To the Stars, they're happening all over the place. There's all kinds of stuff in science literature. And it's just, coming from all angles now at this point. So it's going to be an exciting year, I'll say that much.
Well, what do you think of the research that's going on around you when you see, big names like Nick Redfern or Nick Pope, Grant Cameron, people like that on one side of the ledger, and then there's people all around trying to get to that upper tier, that upper echelon? Do you think there's good work being done all around, or is it just absolute UFO anarchy in the research field, in your opinion, being new? I'm curious from an outsider's perspective.
I mean, I have a bunch of people I really look up to, and I think that there's a lot of good stuff happening. You have different people filling different roles. I'm not going to be over here telling you what these scientific articles mean. I have some friends around me that I can ask about that, but I'm not doing that. I've never put in a FOIA request. There's people that specialize in that kind of thing. So there's all these different specializations, and I think it's good, and I think that there is a whole lot of more interest going on now. And there should be. I mean, there was videos out there, and it was on the front page of the New York Times, so at least some people caught on to it and are more interested now. It's just not enough, but yeah, and I love listening to Grant Cameron, and I love listening to George Knapp, and there's many others that I think are really great, and I do try to listen to everybody, but I have my favorites, of course.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, who do you look up to in this field? We know George Knapp, we know Grant Cameron, but who really pops to your attention when you think of who's doing it right in your mind?
They may not be on the UFO conference circuit. I look up to Dr. Eric Davis and Dr. Gary Nolan, and some of these real scientific geniuses, and I'm trying to listen to what they're saying. I'm listening to what Dr. Hal Puthoff is saying, and Kit Green, and everybody like that. I'll listen to John Alexander. And
he scares me, by the way.
I've never gotten a chance to speak to him or anything like that, and and then I've heard a lot of other stuff that I just enjoy. Like Robert Dean, rest in peace, and some of these other guys. I can't verify every single thing everyone is saying, but I'm definitely listening to them, and it's really great to hear them speak. All these old Robert Dean interviews, and you got Napa succinctly saying everything. You got Dan Cameron. His public speaking ability is like second to none. I can't believe this guy. And
I know he's.
I just keep listening to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I understand with where you're going with that. Now, when you look at yourself in the regards to the type of research you do or type of studying you do on the field, and then you blog about it at silverrecord.com, what do you like to look for? What are your specifics that you're keeping an eye out for?
I'm looking for things I'm interested in, and then new information, or not necessarily new, just new to me, or things that maybe I think the public isn't aware of. A lot of times it's just right out there in public eye, and people are kind of passing it over, or they saw it and they forgot about it. And I think it's interesting, so I might put it on there and talk about it.
Are you surprised when you look at the mainstream people who are unaware of what is really going on up in the sky above?
You mean just like mainstream news?
In mainstream news, mainstream conversation, anything.
Yeah. I'm flabbergasted. I don't get it. We're talking about what everyone is eating in Washington today, instead of we're talking and skipping over all this important stuff. I don't understand it. I really, really don't get it, and I think hopefully it's going to change. But it's also, it lets me down a little bit. Like, you would think that this would have been a bigger story. I thought the Nimitz was a smoking gun. To me, hopefully it will get better than that, and we'll have even more compelling cases. But that one was so good, and there's so many witnesses, and there's video. It's just pretty appalling to think that people, they don't care about it. but hopefully they just haven't been given the right information, or they're just looking at it in the wrong way. And hopefully that will change soon.
Danny, do you think the public wants to know? Or are they too caught up in bill payments, politics, what their NFL team is doing in the playoffs this year to even pay attention?
I think you're right. I mean, I think you're onto something, and it's sad. And I understand people trying to take care of their own lives and make money, and we're all basically over here in the rat race. But you know, I that's why I feel guilty. You know, if I'm watching the game or something, I'm like, I could be studying, or I could be finding something out right now. What am I doing? I'm over here, you know, watching some basketball or something. And I don't know. I think we do. The public does need to get more motivated, I think, and try to take control of, you know, their surroundings. And I guess, you know, that's what politicians have been trying to get people out to vote and do all these other things this whole time. And it's almost like we're trying to do that now with the UFO topic. So it's kind of interesting, and it's in a lot of ways it's really a grassroots operation. You know, I did my own blog. Like anyone, there's a million blogs out there, so anyone could do that. Anyone could be tweeting or telling their family or doing anything else that they might to get the word out. So you know, I'd like more people to basically get involved if they think that they can help.
What are you trying to solve? Is it about disclosure? Is it about getting the message out? Is it about teaching people? What's your plan with all of this?
I guess it's both of those things, all of the above. My whole thing was when I started tweeting, you know, I never even decided actually to do this. I kind of got thrown into it. I was just tweeting, and then people were consistently asking me my opinions. And then I was asked to join a website and write, and I'm not a writer, and now I'm writing a little bit at least. But my whole thing is people are asking me what's going on, and they don't have the time, or they're not obsessed about it like me. So I'm trying to have a website where you can click on it and you're going to find out what's popping recently, because it's always changing. There's always something happening. Like every other day something comes out. And like you said, everyone's going to work and they're taking care of their kids and they're tired. And, you know, I understand that. Maybe they're just too tired at the end of the day from, you know, to dig into a bunch of UFO stuff, and they just want to relax, and I get it. But that's what I'm trying to do with the website, is they can just click on that, and it'll at least be my perspective of this information. And sometimes, you know, I might not add a lot to it. Sometimes I'm just putting what's going on there, and I'm letting people look at it themselves. But I want to have it on there at least so they know where to look for it.
Being a new guy on the field, do you feel you bring a different look, a different perspective at the age-old questions that everybody else has been doing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years plus?
I think so in some cases. I think maybe we aren't, me and some of my friends, you know, we aren't maybe as wrapped up in these notions, and we haven't been, you know, burnt 30 times over the years where we're just mad at everything. We're a little bit more fresher, and we're kind of just coming in, and maybe we're more innocent. But, you know, I think that's a positive, you know, in some ways at least. And so we're just kind of giving it a fresh take, and it's hard to kind of, you know, put those titles on us, and it's kind of hard to just ask me exactly what I'm doing. I'm just doing it, and I'm following things I'm interested in, and you know, I want the truth to come out, and I want people to be interested, but I also want to know what's going on. Like personally, that was my whole thing in the first place. I want to know what's going on, and I feel like I probably have answered a couple questions for myself, but you know, I've came up with more since I've answered those.
What do you want to see happen? What do you expect to see happen as you look for your research? Do you expect there to be disclosure? Do you expect there to have the cover-up continue for a number of years yet? Which way are you leaning?
You know, it's all definitions and what you call disclosure and what you call confirmation and all this kind of thing. I think we're going to be getting more and more information. That seems to be clear to me. Is it going to be full disclosure? I don't think so. I doubt it. But maybe one day it will, and maybe hopefully that's the plan, but I'm not sure. But I know everything is becoming easier to find, or just becoming more available, and there's all this stuff on the internet and places and people talking about it, and Mr. Cameron, he says it. He says Canada just doesn't talk about it, or
That's
generally
true.
they don't, and America, the United States does, and I think that's a telltale sign that they're just talking about it. And I don't know, the simple fact you have people like Steve Justice and other high-level, government people, it has to be part of the fact that they want it out.
We only got about 90 seconds here before we got to go to break. In your estimations, when you look at everything from that outsider's perspective to what other researchers are doing, are we missing something? Are we missing something that maybe a new set of eyes hasn't seen, in your opinion?
I think everyone is missing something, including us. I think George Knapp actually tweeted it like yesterday, that 99% of the Skinwalker story hasn't came out. And I think we can apply that to everything. ATIP, OSAP, any kind of thing. We only know about 1% of it probably. The 1% is really cool, and hopefully we're going to be getting more. But I think generally we all are missing something. I know I'm missing a whole lot. I don't have a lot of these answers, and I don't know if we'll ever find them out, but I think some of them will eventually we'll be confident in figuring out what it is either way.
I think so, too. I believe, Grant, 2018 was a year of confirmation. I know Grant is saying point blank that he thinks this is the year of disclosure. I'm not sure about that. I am really not sure. I think there's still way too many secrets that have to be covered up and put away very, very fast before the public actually catches on to what is going on outside of listeners to shows like this, of course. So I think it's an interesting game, my friend. You hold on. Danny Silva is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into Bob Bigelow, TTSA, UFOs, and more tonight on the mighty SOR. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit's story box. The iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, talking with Danny Silva tonight from silvarecord.com, UFOs, TTSA, and the man who is potentially behind it all on a public side, even though he a lot of times does not face the public. Robert Bigelow is probably, Danny, one of the most intriguing people in this field. He is UFO's most interesting guy. If you remember those old Dos Equis beer commercials, he's definitely that guy for UFOs. Wouldn't you agree?
I would, and he basically gave the most inspiring comments of all time on 60 Minutes when he said, you don't have to look anywhere else, they're right here, and you don't know what I know, and I don't give a damn, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, he is just a menagerie of entertainment when it comes to UFOs, because everybody wants to know about Robert Bigelow. Everybody wants to know what he knows. And even in that 60 Minutes spiel that he gave back in May of 2017, I believe, you had to take him at his word. He didn't give much information. Like when he says, they don't know what I know. What does that what I know means? And yet here he is, his name is plastered, or his company is plastered, Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Space Systems, all over the board. How much research have you done into Robert Bigelow as you have gone through this scene?
Again, I don't know if I want to call it research, but I'm reading all the stories like everyone else, and I'm asking around about it. And, he is one of the major things I'm interested in. NIDS seems like it was an all-star team of just incredible scientists, and BASS was also really cool. We don't know the whole story about BASS, but I think we're going to find out more about it. And just the simple fact that he said these things, and he has Defense Intelligence Agency contracts, and he's working with NASA, I think gives massive amounts of credibility to the subject.
Me too. And I tend to believe that he knows a heck of a lot more than what we actually know. I mean, for him to go on 60 Minutes, that reporter was absolutely not going down that UFO road. It wasn't something on her schedule. Somebody like Bob Bigelow dictates where that interview is going. Would you agree with that?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know it happened, and it was really, really great. I don't know much behind the scenes about what took place, or if he dictated the interview or anything like that.
Well, it is kind of interesting because he comes out, and there is little to no play. Now, if somebody like Elon Musk had come out, or Richard Branson had come out with that same statement, it would be all over the place because they're more public figures than Bob Bigelow. Why do you think the message fell so silent up until that New York Times article? Because that's actually the start of absolutely everything, was Bigelow going public with that.
I would agree with you. That was almost like the precursor. Why didn't it catch on? I guess, you can always just write it off. Oh, it's just some guy. I mean, there's been basically at this point documents given to the public and videos given to the public, and they still don't believe those. So, they didn't. I guess they didn't latch on to Bigelow's comments as much. But I think those comments and what he's done is going to go down through history as changing everything.
From what you've read and learned, why do you think Bob Bigelow has such an interest in the supernatural phenomena, from UFOs to being owner of the Skinwalker Ranch to getting involved in space technology?
He said it in the 60 Minutes interview. They went out to that location, and he said his family members had and experience, and maybe that is what did it. It seems like once you get this bug and you want to know what's going on, it's really hard to just put it down. And he had the resources to explore it, it sounds like. But other than that, with his family's experience, I don't know if there was any other catalyst. There may very well have been.
Do you think, though, that he actually does know what's going on? Do you think that he knows that there is an ET presence here, or do you think he's just kind of playing along with the media like so many do?
I think he knows. I believe him when he's saying it, and he can back it up with Defense Intelligence Agency contracts, and he was involved with this, this scientific research, and he was involved with politicians, and is he, read into every single thing? I don't know, but he certainly knows more than I do or most of us, and he's also done more than most of us to get a lot of it out. There's still is a lot of things that can't be talked about, but hopefully one day they will be. I certainly hope it happens.
What do you think he's hiding? Now, I realize you can only surmise, but what do you think he's hiding?
I mean, if I was some of these guys, I'd be asking the big questions, and probably some of them have some of the answers. I don't know if it's hiding or what is going on. I mean, you sign contracts with Defense Intelligence Agency or other government agencies to do work with them, and you can't just say everything. Also, there's the age-old question about can the public handle it? And, I'm not sure, honestly. I think even a few hardcore UFO people, I think when the New York Times story hit, me certainly, I had to reevaluate things. And, it is a little scary. I mean, what if the whole truth did come out? And I think people would be, scared. What if we told everyone that people get abducted and there isn't a whole lot you could do about it other than staying positive or praying or something like this? People would be frightened.
Mr. Bigelow has been involved in many different facets. We know of him as being the owner of Skinwalker Ranch. John Alexander has been on this show to say that everything that the public has learned about what happened there is true, even though he did not experience anything during his time there. Bigelow also led Art Bell, George Knapp, and Linda Moulton Howe to Area 2000 radio back in the early 90s, which eventually turned into Coast to Coast AM. He and Bob Lazar did have a company for a few months looking for the elusive Element 115. There's a lot that Bigelow has had his hands in regards to all of this, let alone, a big portion of that $22 million that the Pentagon put aside for UFO research. What do you think his status is, or in the people you have talked to about it, in regards to why it's always him and not other contractors that we've learned about? He seems to be the go-to guy for the United States government when it comes to the field of UFOs.
I don't know. Maybe it's because he's shown the most interest, and whereas other people, didn't want to be involved or publicly thought that they would catch flack about it, whereas he didn't care and he was ready to jump in. I'm not really sure. I think, with OSAP, a lot of things changed, and with BASS, because NIDS before that was private, and as far as I know, didn't have government contracts, or at least that's what we've been told. And then, BASS, I think, was a whole other deal. But again, the DIA thing, they did, it was an offering, or maybe that's not the right word, but, it was out there, and supposedly Lockheed applied for it, and they lost for whatever reason. So other people were trying to get that contract that Bigelow got. And I would assume, and I don't know this for a fact, that he probably put a bunch of his own money into it on top of that $22 million, and maybe some of these other contractors weren't willing to do that.
Well, the other thing that he did do around that same time was he bought into MUFON. as well as during that time he started buying up other UFO sites. He bought one north of me here in British Columbia. So when you look at it, it was like he was trying to take full control of the field of ufology with anybody who was popular, because let's face it, it doesn't matter whether you're in a small town or you're a big society like MUFON, money talks.
Yeah, money does talk, and he's put a lot into it, and a lot of these guys need funding. I don't know if MUFON did anything wrong by giving him information. It sounds like he was compiling this stuff. In the 60 Minutes interview, he or 60 Minutes shows the document where the FAA was sending him a lot of the UFO reports. So somebody's got to be dealing with this stuff. And it sounds like a lot of these guys are making these giant databases for research and for to try to figure out some of these big questions.
I hear you there. What big questions do you think are out there, Danny?
One thing, is there a phenomenon? Is it here? I think those are the two things we could probably say yes to. There is stuff flying around in the sky. Is every single thing not non-human? I don't know, but some of it really, really seems like it is. I think those are some of the big questions. Does the government know? Yes. Have they been studying it for a really long time? Yes, they have. I think those are all obvious points that we can make now.
Do you believe, though, that he is researching alien technology at his facility in Las Vegas? Because there has been rumors that that's where a lot of these pieces have been taken, especially from the Roswell crash, to be studied by his private scientist team.
I think he does. Now I think the whether it was in Las Vegas is in question, because the New York Times stated that, and then KLAS, George Knapp, months later, had a comment from a Bigelow manager saying that they were familiar with the metamaterials, but they weren't housed in Vegas. So, and we know for a fact that there's all these other scientific companies. There's Earth Tech in Austin, and there's other places, and you can outsource this stuff. And, maybe it wasn't at the big facility in Vegas. Maybe it was somewhere else, but I think they did have some materials. And I think if you look at the NIDS literature or things that they've said during NIDS, it sounded like they probably had pieces back then. A lot of us, we kind of think, hey, that's so amazing, and maybe there's only a couple pieces. And then other times I'm reading, articles, and it sounds like a bunch of people have these pieces. Maybe they're not all real, or authentic, rather, but a lot of people have this stuff over the years. And I think there's a lot more out there than we can imagine that has already been studied, and probably conclusions have been made about it.
Bigelow has also been tied, and I believe he has been a campaign donator to when Senator Harry Reid, or former Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, was representing that state in Washington, D.C. What have you learned about Harry Reid and his interest in UFOs?
Harry Reid has to be the most prominent politician of all time to speak about it. I guess you can also say it would be John Podesta. But really, Harry Reid has done an amazing job bringing it out. George Knapp also published the Harry Reid letter that he wrote saying that ATIP needed to become a special access program. I heard that didn't occur, but, that's more speculation. But that letter alone, if you read it, to me, is basically disclosure. And the thing is, that letter wasn't leaked. It was given to George Knapp for him to release, is how I understand the situation happening. So if you read that letter and you still think there's nothing going on in the government, or it just, to me, that's nuts. You need to look at this stuff, and the public needs to see it. And, that's what's so shocking to me. I was saying it earlier, that there's documents out there. I mean, there's the Harry Reid letter. I don't know what else you can take away from that letter other than the government's got this stuff. They're studying it. It's real. To me, it answers a lot of questions.
Why do you think Harry Reid has taken such an interest? Is it because of his relationship with Bob Bigelow? Is it because Area 51 was right in his backyard? Or do you think he's just a believer because he may have had a sighting in the past?
I don't know if he has a sighting. He's described sightings from other senators and pilots. And maybe it's all these factors in one, and it was kind of a perfect storm. Also, George Knapp was covering him for many years, and they talked a lot, and George Knapp was able to talk to him. And so a lot of these politicians, they're probably not getting one-on-one time with George Knapp, hearing, the real, true facts come out. They're getting these other reporters across the country that don't care as much about it. So there's probably a lot of different factors that went into it. And like you said, he was right there in Nevada with a lot of these controversies like Bob Lazar.
Do you believe then that he, and now that he's not a politician anymore, that maybe him and Bigelow are working together to try and get this agenda out? Because these are two very strong, prominent people in the United States, both financially and politically, that could really push to make this happen. Or do you think that there's a possibility that they go a little greedy on this? Because if there is as many crash sites, and they do have that technology outside of Area 51, that's a lot of technology to try and reverse engineer and try and win over some major, major contracts around this world if you can develop it.
Yeah, I don't know how they would be able to do all that on their own. I think probably they are. I would like to hope that they're trying their best to get the information out. You're a billionaire, it's like it's a game over. You can retire. You don't have to get out of bed in the morning if you don't want to. So they're doing that. I like to think that they're trying their best. Other than that, it's all speculation, and I'm just trying to give some of these guys the benefit of the doubt. I know a lot of the older researchers and ufologists, they don't want to do that, and they've been burned a lot of times, and I probably would feel the same if I was in their position. But I think since December 16th in the last year, or maybe 2 years, maybe, the government's looking for a fresh slate in a lot of ways, and they just want to, turn the other cheek over and try to get some of this stuff out. Why would To the Stars Academy say they're building a craft, with someone from Skunk Works? If that isn't a telltale sign, I'm not sure what is.
Well, that's going to be costing a lot more money than the $2.5 million. You and I will get into To the Stars Academy here a little bit later in the show, but keeping the focus on Bigelow and Harry Reid here, as we got about 3 minutes before we got to go to the break at the top of the hour. Do you think they're in cahoots? Do you think there is this giant team of people, whether it includes the To the Stars Academy, Bigelow's old team, John Alexander, Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, whoever it may be? Do you think there is this team colluding together in different avenues to try and corner a market that right now is not there?
I don't know about colluding and cornering and all that kind of. I'm not sure. They're definitely been seen together, and they're working together in at least some ways. I mean, I think they're also their own people in a lot of other ways. But I think probably a lot of people have, common goals of hopefully getting some of this stuff out and just making it a better place and basically letting the public know what's going on. The UFO community, we already believe what's going on. So I don't think we're their main target. I think the main target is the general public, and you can see that when they're going on, CNN, or they got Dave Fravor on these big interviews. That seems to be the goal. It's not the UFO, because we already know the UFO community. I mean, we already know it's the general public, and I think that's a great way to go about it, because that's what's going to change this thing. People are always going to be hearing their weird uncles or their friends or anyone else tell them about the stuff and they're going to be able to write them off. But once they start hearing it from official channels, hopefully maybe they'll start believing it, because at this point they just haven't been kind of accepting the information, I don't think.
Well, it's hard for a lot of people to accept that information when they don't know the source. There's so many people here who do not know the game. They don't know who Bigelow is. They don't know who George Knapp is outside of the Bob Lazar story. They don't know who Harry Reid is. They do know that there's a lot of weird people out there, man. And that's who they stay away from.
Right, and that's why I'm so happy, and that's why I follow a lot of the government stories more so than some of this other stuff. And I'm not saying the normal person that has a experience is not credible, but in the eyes of skeptics, it's these military witnesses, and it's the government telling them. And I think short of that, I don't know if anyone is ever going to believe it. It has to come from official places, and it has to come from people they trust.
But other governments, as we got about 10 seconds here, other governments around the world have disclosed, yet nobody seems to buy it because it's still quite an ominous topic, both in North America and in many major parts in Europe. But Danny, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, my friend, because we're wrapping up hour number 1. Hour number 2 with Danny Silva coming up right after this. Danny's website, if you want to check it out, it is called silvarecord.com. silvarecord.com. Go check it out. Hour number 2 of UFO Talk with Danny Silva coming up right after this. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter
at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Mike Morin and Morgan Knudsen are back for Ghosts of the Great White North. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio, along with Revolution Radio. Don't forget you can check out our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Batrachomio Maki. Batrachomio Maki is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Right now, while you're listening, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Pick up a t-shirt, hoodies, hats, beanies, bags, socks, whatever you need. Go get it. It's right there for you. And you can read up on SOR's Newswire provided by Captain Shirk and so much more. Tonight, our guest is Danny Silva. He is a UFO blogger. His website, silvarecord.com. He's one of the quickest names growing in the field of ufology right now. And we're lucky to have him here because, you know, we talk about all of these fresh faces. Where are they? Stanton Friedman retired. Jim Mars passed away. The field that we are used to is getting older. Who's replacing it? Well, people like Danny are. And that's a good sign. It's a healthy sign. Danny, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Can I name some of the other people that I think are really doing it right now? You asked me that earlier, and I think I kind of skipped over it.
Sure. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Dave Beatty is doing great work. He did the Nimitz Encounters short film. It's on YouTube. It has over 1 million views. It's really going. You got the UFO Sunday Show with Frank Statler and James Iandoli, my good friend. I got another colleague, Twitter user Jay. He's the one digging up all this, all these scientific papers and breaking all these crazy things wide open. My friend UFO Joe, he has his blog as well. It's great.
He's been in our chat room a number of times too.
Oh, okay. Omni Talk Radio, Giuliano Marinkovic. He's been on the scene for a long time. He has maybe one of the biggest personal libraries of media records and documents that anyone has in the world. I don't know, anything I need, I can ask him for, and he'll deliver. And then there's some really other good researchers that I have the pleasure to touch base with every once in a while, like Keith Basterfield. So these are kind of guys in my circle that, fortunately, they give me the time of day, and I'm able to bounce ideas off of them.
And I know
so
a lot of those
shout them out.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I know a lot of those names. They haven't been on the show, but I could tell you this. I sit there and I watch and I research, and you know, it's important to have a very strong crew coming into this. It really is, because there are so many different perspectives, whether it's the scientific perspective, the media perspective, so on and so forth, that you really do need a solid team in order to try and break this all down.
And not that they're my team, you know, they're just people I respect, and I do get to talk to them every once in a while. There's other people that are doing amazing work. There's Professor Diana Pasulka. She's coming out with the book American Cosmic in the next month. I believe it's going to be released, and it's almost as important, or maybe as important as some of these other releases we're hearing. I mean, even to the Stars Academy or anybody like that. This book is going to shock everyone, and I only can recommend as much as possible. Get this book and read it, and it's going to change your perception on things.
What's that book titled again?
It's called American Cosmic, and it's by Professor Diana Pasulka. It's going to be out this month. It's on Oxford Press. It's the real deal, and anyone who hasn't heard of her, they're going to, I think, be hearing a lot about her in this next year, and I think it's really going to change people's perceptions about what's happening.
I appreciate for you dropping that name. Always appreciate a good name drop like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Last half hour, we talked quite a bit about Robert Bigelow and his role in the field of ufology. A lot of what he does is very quiet behind the scenes. When he bought into MUFON, nobody really knew what was going on there until a bunch of insiders came out and said, look, this is a guy who was trading a lot of money to bail MUFON out of Hawk, and in return, he was getting a lot of private information. Now, that has consequently been denied on this show previously, just last week, by Tom Whitmore, who is on the board of directors of MUFON. We know that he bought up a bunch of UFO websites. We know for a long time he was the only one that you could report to if you were a pilot, commercial or military, when it came to UFO sightings. He's really tried to own the mark. Do you think that behind the scenes that Bob Bigelow has any sort of role in the To the Stars Academy, considering that a lot of his NIDS team was and is now a part of To the Stars?
Now, I'm not sure if all reports, he was the only outlet for those. I think he was getting them, but I think they were also going other places. So I just wanted to make that clear. But, I mean, it's a lot of the same team members are involved with Bigelow and To the Stars, so you can make that connection. I don't know. I don't exactly have the answer. It seems like there has to be some links, but then, I hear other reports that, they're totally separate, and Mr. Bigelow's moved on, and he's not as involved as maybe he once was, or he's definitely not doing it as publicly. He's dealing with Bigelow Aerospace and big NASA contracts, and that's probably taken up a lot of his time now, and he sold the ranch and things like that. So it does seem like in some regards he's moved away from it. But in other places, it seems like maybe he's still involved.
Well, when you look at all of his team members, and I don't know if you've heard of the Aviary, but there's a lot of members of the Aviary who are on the To the Stars Academy and still have major ties to the Bigelow campaign for ufology. Right, yeah, if it's continuing. Now, the aviary stuff, you can argue, these guys have government links and things like that. I kind of look at it as a good thing, or I hope it is, and I think it lends credibility to it, rather than, some people think it just kind of ultimately, takes them out of the conversation like they can't be trusted because they have government ties. But I kind of look at it from the other angle, that they have access and they know what's going on, and there's definitely a lot of people working on this thing that can't always talk about it, but I think it's going to continuously come out now in scientific papers and other places, and not just from To the Stars and not just from Bigelow, but other people are doing stuff. I don't think Jacques Vallée is done. There's been rumors he was retiring. He may have said that at one point. I don't think he's retired. I think he's still going, and I think we're just going to continuously see avenues where this information is coming out. Listening to you in the last hour and a bit here, you seem to really buy into the whole government stance of what has come out in ufology. What do you believe and what do you not believe is the role of the government when it comes to this? Do you think they're holding secrets on us? Do you think they know more than what they've told us? What are you thinking here? They definitely have secrets. They definitely know more than they told us. I think maybe I can't make conclusions. There's things I hope and things like that. And I hope that we've came to a point now where they feel like they can let some of this stuff out, and maybe some of the secrecy has gone on long enough, and maybe that's why we're going to start to get this stuff out. But ultimately, I'm not sure. But like I said earlier, I think we know about 1% of what's going on. We don't know the other 99%, and it sometimes it's fun to try to figure it out, and sometimes it's extremely frustrating. But I think we need to keep at it and keep hoping for the best. Let's get to Gail's question here. Gail is asking, last year the OMB said the U.S. will probably discontinue its support of the International Space Station by 2020. Do you there, Danny, think that Robert Bigelow may be lining up a purchase for privatization of the United States' part in space?
I don't know. That's really interesting, and I hope so. I wish him all the best, and I think as much as he can be involved with it, I think that's a good thing. I would like him to be as famous as Elon Musk, and I would like the Bigelow Aerospace to be as big as SpaceX. SpaceX is having some problems in the last week, we heard, and there's other companies, that are doing it. There's all these space agencies popping up. There's Rocket Lab and all these other ones, and but I would like Bigelow Aerospace to be doing more of it, and I think that's where a lot of his focus and probably his funding is going now, and it's really exciting, especially some of there's going to be scientific breakthroughs. I'm sure there has been a lot. We just heard about, what was it, China today. They said that they had seeds sprouting on the moon. It's just, who would have thought that would happen? So it's going to be more and more of this, and but I want to see Bigelow involved in as much as possible, because I feel like he's one of our guys, because look at what he said on 60 Minutes. Look what the picture on the side of his building. It's a giant gray's head is his logo. So we should be rooting for him to be involved, whereas we got Elon Musk, and he's pretty hush-hush about this, and I just don't believe that SpaceX hasn't ever caught, some odd things on camera or on their satellites, and Elon Musk isn't telling us this. So you can kind of apply that to all of these space agencies. It's almost like they have to play the game in order to get some of these contracts. They can't just spill everything out. But if you look at them, each of them, Bigelow has, gone the farthest to do that.
Well, I think the biggest difference is between Musk and Richard Branson. They haven't gone down the field of UFOs and aliens, whereas Bigelow has. Even though they're all striving for privatization of space hotels and the moon and rocket planes to take the public up, even though the 95% of the population will never be able to afford that opportunity, I think it's very, very intriguing to say where it goes, even though all three are kind of coming at this from different angles. I would say Musk is ahead in everything, especially with his Falcon rockets that he has. But in the meantime, getting back to UFOs and the technology that it has, you make mention that Bigelow is a leader by the standards, and people should pay attention to him. And when I asked you about his relationship with To the Stars, do you think that he is one of the financial backers of that? Because let's face it, there's a lot of people on the To the Stars Academy. You just don't leave high-paying jobs like being the running Lockheed Skunk Works to go private for a corporation unless you're getting paid as much or more. You just don't leave that paycheck and that government pension on the line, or that private pension on the line. It just doesn't happen. So they have to be getting their money from somewhere, and it's just not the federal government, I don't believe.
Yeah, it could be Bigelow. I don't know. Also, and I kind of look at it as, someone that's worked a lot of regular jobs in his life, but a lot of these guys are pretty rich already, it seems like. DeLong is reportedly worth, like $80 million. I see other ways that they could be making more money than doing what they're doing. Tom could be over doing more concerts and doing more music, or writing another 50 Shades of Grey sequel or something. I don't know what he would be doing, but that would be cashing in. And it just doesn't feel like a cash grab to me, because I don't see, at least not the investment coming in. You can argue that maybe some of these government contracts will be big money, but other than that, these guys are pretty well established. Some of them at least are up there in age, and I don't think they would just quit their lives to go over there only to make money. I think they really have a goal, and they want to accomplish it, and hopefully build some things and educate everyone. I think education is probably the biggest thing out of all of this.
Who are they trying to educate, though, in the To the Stars Academy?
Yeah. I think it's the general public. I think it is. I think the UFO community, we already know what exists, and we want to be backed up by some official channels, finally, so people start believing us when we're walking around in our regular lives telling people about this stuff and they don't care. You know, we're around the water cooler at work, and some people are interested, but at the end of the day, they really don't care. And the more To the Stars gets the government to say things, or gets official media, channels like the New York Times to talk about it, it gives all of us a way to, bring it to everyone else in our lives and get them to believe it. And so I think number one goal is to educate the public.
You are a supporter of the To the Stars Academy. You think they're doing it right. I have always professed caution in regards to them because there's a lot of things I do not support about them. And I've been on record with that. I don't mind getting into that conversation with you as we kind of get into it. But explain your position with your understanding of To the Stars and why it's a good thing.
I think it's 100% fair to be cautious. I think we should be cautious. And my whole thing is that they facilitated these videos to come out. I think probably they were involved with the ATIP reveal and the New York Times story. And to me, that's the biggest thing to ever happen for the subject. So they could basically fold up today, and I think they've already probably accomplished more than basically anyone else ever in the subject as far as getting it out there. So I just think, I think it's good to be cautious. And I think if we end up getting burned, then we can deal with it from then. And until that happens, I think, we should at least give them the benefit of the doubt or not. At the end of the day, what the UFO community says probably doesn't matter a whole lot in the long run. But I think until we see otherwise, and they've made some little mistakes here and there, or maybe some people would say big ones, but to me, none of them are deal breakers. And until this big deal breaker happens or some big scandal comes out, I think, we should be happy. It's like the UFO community, all these like material testing, there's materials being tested, and the government said they have UFO programs, and people act like they're not happy about that are in the UFO community. And that's just so crazy to me. Like, I thought that was the end goal. And now, they're throwing it back at them. But so I don't know how we can win. It's like a lose-lose situation with some of these people because, if we get it from the government, they hate it. If we don't get it from the government, they're mad. So they can't have it both ways. They got to pick one or the other, and be distrustful and wait for more info, if anyone wants. And I think that's great. And, again, I don't think what we say matters. I think there's going to be more releases this year, and it's going to keep going no matter what any of us think.
What about the idea that they are trying to control the message? That is the one red flag that I see seriously waving in regards to UFOs, that they are dodging members of the media, especially on the alternative. They have taken advantage of a mainstream which they knew was caught with their eyes closed and their pants down, and it seems like they are controlling what gets out there and what doesn't, who speaks, who doesn't. Do you find that being proper business etiquette, or do you find that as being a red flag as well, that they are not getting to the public who has real experiences? They are not getting to the public who are very interested in these topics and want to know more.
I think any huge business or important group is going to try to control the narrative. That's why people hire publicists. So I don't think that's like a big secret. And as far as, doing a lot of interviews with the alternative press, I don't think that's their goal. And I think they have done some of them. Luis Elizondo, he went to MUFON. He's doing another conference in March. That sounds very exciting. He has done some interviews here and there. Tom, unfortunately, has basically stopped talking or at least for long interviews.
Tom stopped talking after he made an ass out of himself on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, I like that interview. I see how some people have issues with it. He couldn't say a whole lot, and maybe that's why he isn't doing a whole lot of these interviews. I mean, if I was a super important person, I would probably be doing more press releases and less interviews as well. So, but I feel like Rogan went into that interview and it was okay. I think he didn't understand a lot of the stuff that DeLong was talking about. But then that was before December 16th. So, and the New York Times story. So after the Rogan interview, Tom put it out there and basically proved everything he was saying. That's what I don't understand about people that don't like the Rogan interview.
Well, I think the reason why, and this is what I heard from insiders in regards to that interview, was they really didn't like Tom talking about pulling his testicles out of his pants and dropping them on the desk. They didn't really like all the F-bombs he was dropping because the people who he is dealing with are a bunch of suits and Tom is a rock star. And I don't think they were prepared for that. Add to the fact that he played a CGI TR-3B film on there that's already been proven a hoax. That was kind of odd that he was trying to show Rogan. I think he tried his best. I don't think he did any favors. I think he made a little bit of an ass out of himself. I have no problem saying that. I would say that to his face in regards to it. For somebody who is trying to bring credibility in this field, and a month previous to that is standing on a stage holding a press conference without any press in the audience, wearing a suit saying, we're going to bring, this out to the public. What have they really brought? Even their own website doesn't talk about UFOs.
Well, they brought the Nimitz encounter to the public, and they brought the videos out, and they brought the ATIP reveal. So to me, they brought everything they could bring at first, and they put their money where their mouth is, to me. That's like the biggest stuff to me.
But there's also criticism as to whether or not those videos are even correct. There's a lot of people in the field of ufology, credible people, who say that some of those videos have been out for years.
One of them was, right, the Nimitz video was leaked, and then they re-released it. But it was leaked, and if we think that no one has heard about the Nimitz encounter now, after the New York Times came out with it, how many people do you think knew about it when it was on Reddit only? I mean, it must have been a couple hundred or something. I don't know, maybe 1,000 people total. So it was leaked, and I don't think that takes away from it, that it was leaked. Maybe that is how they were able to get the government to release it. They said, hey, this is already leaked and out there, so let's just confirm it now for them because people have already seen it. Maybe that was a bargaining chip for them to use to get it released.
Perfect. Danny, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, my friend. We're going to continue the To the Stars debate right after this. Danny Silva, silvarecord.com. We'll be back with more SOR right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night. Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Welcome back as we pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. It's nice and cold out, too, and that's always nice. We are talking Bob Bigelow. We are talking to the stars, UFOs. Our guest tonight, Danny Silva from silvarecord.com. silvarecord.com. Danny, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's really an experience to be here, and I'm really enjoying myself.
Yeah, we're enjoying you too as well, my friend. Hey, right before the break, we kind of dropped the gloves on the whole To the Stars Academy, and one of the things that we talked about was kind of controlling the narrative and controlling what is going on. And we're going to get into that a little bit more, but first I want to get to the idea that Tom DeLonge obviously didn't have a rock star type interview with Joe Rogan, and it's amazing how he kind of disappeared off the speaking front, and it immediately turned to Lou Elizondo, the former man who ran the ATIP program for the government between 2007 and 2012. Do you think that that was part of the agenda to pull Tom out and bring Luis in, or do you think that there was an oops with Tom, even though you were a fan of his interview with Joe Rogan, that there was an oops and they just figured, you know what, maybe we got to bring out Lou a little bit earlier than expected?
I'm not sure. You know, Tom has said himself that he said some things that he shouldn't have, and he gets extremely excited, and so do I. And at the end of the day, we're just normal people, and we're trying our best. So I think that probably there's some truth to that. And if you look at all the things that he's been saying, you know, we can talk about how confirmation happened, but you listen to some Tom DeLonge interviews, and that's almost like full disclosure interviews if you're going by what he's saying, especially some of his more classic interviews from years ago. He's putting it all out there, and maybe it was just too much, and Elizondo is definitely more reserved, and then maybe they felt that he was just more, primed to talk about it. There is also some things that have been brought up, and I don't know if these are accurate or not, but Tom's role in the To the Stars Academy and the fact that they were taking investments was, maybe that kind of restricts him on some of these interviews as well. I mean, you look at Elon Musk, he went on Rogan and he's smoking weed, and all of a sudden the stock drops like millions of dollars. So some of these guys, they need to have, more of a public person kind of speaking for him, especially when Tom is dropping these massive bombs in these interviews.
I understand that, but it does come down to controlling the narrative, and that started back on October 11th, 2017, when he announced the To the Stars Academy. Lo and behold, imagine how many people, especially in the alternative media, who cover UFOs for a living, when we all found out that there was no media there to ask questions. There was no media there, even mainstream, to ask any post-interview questions, because normally what happens at a press conference, and I know this from experience, you have your press conference, and then you break off into what is called one-on-ones or scrums. There was none of that. Everything was protected. Everything was protected when they went on Coast to Coast. Everything was protected when they went to the mainstream media, dodging the rest of the alternative media, whether it was this show, whether it was Dave Schrader, whether it was other people involved in this. They didn't talk to Grant Cameron. They didn't talk to Richard Dolan. Linda Moulton Howe got ditched by Tom after he used her before the TTSA came out. There was a lot of people who were quite upset saying, well, what about us? Us included. Give you an example. Since January 2018, I have had a media request out to the Stars Academy that has still not been returned. That's not the way the media works. That's how you control a narrative, because they do not want to answer tough questions. So when you are pulling all of that, what do you expect, and how do you expect people to get on your side?
You know, I'm not necessarily trying to get people on my side. I'm just kind of saying it like I think it is. And like I said, I think it is important to be cautious. Now, I do think that Elizondo was asked a lot of hard questions by George Knapp on Coast to Coast. He was on twice, and Mr. Knapp was not messing around on some of those questions if you go back and listen to it. So I don't think, that was like a set-up interview or anything like that. I think Mr. Knapp was extremely he was extremely a pro, and he was not asking him softball questions. As far as Linda Moulton Howe, she was in one of the videos, I think, of the Adam Research Project, where they're collecting the materials. We're hearing that she owns some of the materials. I think it was the arts parts, if anyone's familiar with that, and she gave them to the Stars Academy. So it's not like she's super mad at them or anything, and I can't speak to her, about her, of course, obviously, but I know that she was involved with that, at least. Yeah.
No, I understand that. I guess what I'm saying, and I should rephrase this, and I should have clarified a little bit, so I apologize to you. I'm saying in regards to the Stars Academy, there's not a lot of fluidity. When they came out basically in that press conference on October 11th, basically saying that we were going to be a public company with the public's interest in mind, yet they're holding things back. They're not talking to the public. That's not what you do.
I mean, yeah. Right. I mean, they're talking to the public. It's not every single. They're not accepting every single interview. Now
they're not accepting any interviews.
Well, they've done some interviews. He's done Giuliano Marinkovic. Talk Radio interviewed Elizondo right off the bat. Elizondo's done the George Knapp interviews. They've been on, different people have been on Tucker Carlson and other media places.
I'm going to give you a little bit of schooling here, and I mean this all politely, okay? Do you know how the mainstream media works?
I mean, I didn't go to school for it, but,
okay. All right. And trust me, I'm not saying this to sound condescending, so please don't take it that way. This is the way the media works. All right? And for anybody out there, I want you to pay attention to this, because this is important. When you're trying to control a narrative, you look for your weakest points. The weakest point in the field of ufology in the narrative was the mainstream media. If you recognize any mainstream media, and if this is your first time tuning into this show, you will understand that we've said this many times before. And people who are listening, especially my snarky Twitter crowd, I'm sure they're getting ready to roll their eyes and snark the living hell out of me right now. I know you are, Mr. Skeptic, so please fire away. I am ready for this. But anyways, this is how it works in a newsroom. If you have a UFO story, it's always buried at the back end. All right? It is buried at the back end, number one. Number two, it's always having the Twilight Zone, the Star Trek, or the X-Files theme song. And then after the report, you have, when the reporter throws back to the anchors always give some snarky, sarcastic remark, putting down the story, killing all credibility of it. Now, that changed when the New York Times article came out, because now the media in the mainstream, who had been making fun of UFO stories for the last 30 years, literally had to pull their pants up. That's why I said they were caught with their pants down. So what happens is, when a media member is caught with their pants down or has zero interest in a story but is forced to cover something, they ask what we call softball questions. This is why you didn't hear any of the mainstream media ask Elizondo when he went out in the public, and he became the public face of To the Stars. Nobody asked him, who paid you between 2012 and 2017 when you stepped down? Where was this program running? No, he did not say that in the mainstream. He eventually said it when he went into the MUFON conference and was interviewed by them after the TTSA and MUFON hooked up. But he did not say that at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Now, he didn't step down in 2012, though. He stepped down in 2017, right before the To the Stars announcement.
Yes, but the $22 million, and Elizondo went on record saying, I ran the program up until 2012. He did say that he continued with his job, but he didn't say which department was paying him, what they were investigating. All he said was that he was only talking about 2007 to 2012. That's what the article was about. He has subsequently come out and said that he does know the person that replaced him. He does know they are looking at continuing this research. He does not say where they work, which department they work for, or does not give a name because that's all top secret, and he cannot disclose that, which is fair. I think we can all agree with that. But getting back to the whole media...
Yes, well, can I jump in real quick? No, I don't think that's accurate. I think he was with ATIP until 2017 or a similar thing. Now, there's been reports that the funding ran out in 2012, but that was actually the OSAP funding, and he was funded separately. And also, some of this stuff was these guys working at the DOD, and they were kind of moonlighting and doing stuff in the in-between time. I don't know if that's the case with him, but he supposedly was, he has stated that he was there up until, I think, a month before the To the Stars Academy thing. So a lot of people hear that in the New York Times, and they think everything ended in 2012 when that just wasn't accurate. And the ATIP program is supposedly still going on today as well.
Under a different name, under a different guideline. But that's the point. Who was paying Elizondo? Because he said that from 2012 to 2017 that he was absolutely 100% begging for more money outside of the $22 million that ended in 2012, and they were scrambling by bits and pieces. Right? That's what he said.
But he still worked at the DOD. Yeah, he still worked at the DOD during that time, and ATIP was still continuing. And I think there was other funding. And actually, he has said that they allocated other funding, so it wasn't just the $22 million. I think people kind of get stuck on that because it was in the New York Times, but there was other funding, and he was definitely still working for the government, still doing ATIP-type programs, if not ATIP itself, and he was getting paid by the government at the DOD.
Understandable that didn't come out by the mainstream media. That came out after Elizondo said it on Coast with George Knapp. So what I'm saying...
There is things, there is things in the New York Times article that aren't necessarily accurate. There is some mistakes in there, here and there,
True on that. But let's go back to the mainstream media for a point. All right? The mainstream media does not want to cover UFOs. So what happens is when you go to a newsroom and you say to your news director, I got a UFO story, you know what they do? They tell you, drop it, go work on something else. Not because there's a big controversy and they don't cover UFO stories. They don't cover UFO stories because they feel it's dead air. They feel it's not worth the airtime or the print time because that costs money. And frankly, journalists are so fickle, they don't believe in this stuff anyways. I could name off a ton of people that I work with who even follow me on this show that I used to work with in the newsroom and say, I would never cover that. And these are editors, directors, program directors. They don't want to cover this subject. So what happens is when you have to cover a subject that you don't like, example, I was a sports reporter. I hate soccer. I think one of the greatest distractions and the greatest enemies of people in this world is soccer. I've gone on record saying if sport was religion, soccer is the Antichrist. I've said that. I have no problem admitting that. I loathe the game. When I punish my son, I said, I'm going to take you to the soccer field. It scares the daylights out of him. And that's all I need. Don't have to, spank the kid or anything. Just threaten to take him to the soccer field. Anyways, I know I'm going off on a tangent there. But when I had to cover soccer, I would go into the dressing room after the game, interview the players. Boy, that was an exciting game. What did you think about that? Was it good to get the 2 points? Was it good to get the victory? Tell me about your goal. What do you have to do next time to play your interview? 3 minutes, I'm out. gone, go to the station, cut up my interview, make it sound like it was exciting as possible, and then leave. No details, no real news. Because the other thing the media didn't do is, because the To the Stars handed them Elizondo, handed them Fravor, they didn't get any counterpoints. There was no Richard Dolan interviews. There was no Stanton Friedman interviews. There was no Grant Cameron, Steve Bassett type interviews. Anything contradicting the sort. That is not journalism. That is, let's get out of this story as quickly as possible so we can forget about it and move on to the next one. That's how the journalism works with UFOs.
Yeah, and I think we can credit To the Stars with getting it out there, but they haven't done as many interviews as I would like. I would like to interview every day. That would be great. But I don't think that that's their focus necessarily. But again, I think, George Knapp asked Elizondo pretty hard questions, and I would like everyone to go back and listen to those interviews. He was not asking softball questions. He was asking hardball questions, especially in the second interview with Elizondo. And I would like more interviews.
Well, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But as someone who is covering these stories, do you not think it's funny or ironic that every story comes out of KLAS or comes out of Coast to Coast?
I think George Knapp is very trusted, and has these sources that he's built up over his career of, many decades. And there are other stories coming out, I think, and there's going to be, and I think To the Stars Academy is going to be releasing things on their own as well, not just only through George Knapp. So it's not like it's a one-stop shop, but Mr. Knapp definitely knows what he's talking about, and he's the best at what he does.
True.
But at the same time, I think, there's other places where this stuff is coming, and it's not like the game is fixed. I think Mr. Knapp has earned everything that he's accomplished, and he isn't just being handed things to be released. I think he's really earning it, and he has his own sources. He's not just only doing To the Stars Academy stories. He's doing a lot of other things, and he's working with Harry Reid, and George Knapp released the Defense Intelligence Reference documents, and that didn't have anything to do with To the Stars Academy necessarily. So I just think there's going to be other places. I don't know if you were familiar with it, but my website actually had a co-exclusive on a big scientific paper. Yeah. That just came out this last week. So that's just another example. And that's not necessarily To the Stars Academy, but it's just other examples of how this information is getting out there now.
And I understand that you were just learning, okay? And I don't want to sound like I'm being overly harsh on you, because I know people are going to listen to this and are going to be like, holy cow, that host was a little bit of a jerk there. But I think it's a learning experience for all of us, that we do have to take all of this information from both sides and glue it together, because somewhere what we have, everybody, and Danny, I'm sure you would agree, we have a 5,000-piece puzzle that we can't even find the edges to yet, let alone to start building the middle. And we have to take the good, we have to take the bad in order to try and put this puzzle piece together, because the only ones who really know are the U.S. government, Elizondo knows, Bigelow knows, and a few others. That's it.
Right, and I'm not just, I try to look at everything, it's not like the game is fixed and I'm just going by the party line. I'm definitely looking at everything, and I just think some of these things that people look at as a downside to the Stars Academy is actually maybe better. I like the fact that not necessarily To the Stars Academy, but the government is releasing stuff, and I like the fact, and I don't blame them for trying to control the narrative or only accepting certain interviews. You can't just be doing every interview. You can't be accepting every interview. It'd be nice, but I just don't think it's reality, and any big corporation is going to do that. And some of these corporations or groups, they only talk through their publicists. So I think the fact that we have these interviews, Dr. Hal Puthoff has said some really amazing things, and just all these other guys. And so they have done some interviews here and there. It's not like they haven't done any. And especially with Dr. Puthoff, you can just look through his career and see all the things he said, and Tom DeLonge, and we've even heard a little bit from Steve Justice now in some of these videos. I hope we get to hear from some of the other members of To the Stars Academy as well. I'd like to hear more from Jim Semivan. But it's not just like everything's been totally shut down, I think.
Well, it's been shut down to the majority of the alternative media. And I want to hit a Twitter tweet here because we only got about 2 minutes left. One of your good buddies from UFO News Network Sunday says, "You don't know what you're talking about, dude. Everything you said about media coverage of UFOs was wrong. Come on the show, or I'll come on yours and we'll talk about it." Because I know I worked in a newsroom. I know how it works when UFO stories come in. And outside of George Knapp, who's had a great career, there's not many people out there who want to actually cover these stories. So if you want to talk about it, I'm there. I am so there. Come on this show. I got a couple dates available in February. I'll even bring you on the round table and we could talk about it. That's what it's all about. But I do know I'm not wrong on this. I do know that.
Well, the media definitely doesn't want to cover this, and I don't think anyone is saying that's not the case. And I think that's what is so great about To the Stars, is because they got the media more involved in this, and it's going to continuously happen now. Where the media,
I hope so.
Whether the media likes it or not, they're going to have to cover this. There's only two other options. One, they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what's going on in the world. Or two, they're basically, just angry about it. So if some of these stories, they're so big that if the media isn't talking about it, then you can write them off.
But you know what? I will give them credit, because we only got about 30 seconds here. I will give them credit. And you have to admit this too. Take the To the Stars out of it. Take the behind the scenes in newsrooms out of it. It was nice and refreshing to see these topics being played out without the X-Files music, without the Star Trek music or Twilight Zone music. They were actually giving real press to it, and it continued. That does have to be commended. That absolutely does have to be commended on that. Danny, you hold on, because we are going to go to break here, my friend. We got you for about another 30 minutes here on the Mighty SOR. Danny Silva, we're talking UFOs. We're talking To the Stars. We talked Robert Bigelow already. We're having a lot of fun tonight on this show, talking To the Stars with Danny Silva. SilvaRecord.com is your website. We'll be back right after this.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to BUMBLEFOOT.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. BUMBLEFOOT.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at BUMBLEFOOT.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Mike Morin and Morgan Knudsen are back for Ghosts of the Great White North. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, Deep Talk Radio, Rev Radio as well. Don't forget, you can also check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Bactrachomio Maki. Bactrachomio Maki is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Desert Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, pick up your T-shirts and other swag as well right now. And you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. Tonight we are talking with Danny Silva from silvarecord.com. Is it record or record, Danny? What do you prefer? Tell me about it, man.
I call it record. Okay,
silvarecord.com.
Yeah.
There we go. It's one of those words. Damn English language. Anyways, you know what? So for our audience who isn't listening in, or isn't on Twitter, they are listening in, obviously. UFO News Network Sunday. Good show. They said, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. Everything you said about media coverage of UFOs was wrong. So I have responded. I've said, do you want to hop on with us and prove me wrong? I have no problem admitting if I am. I've given them the phone number. I said, I will take this show into overtime if you wish, if we want to continue it. So the ball is in UFO Network News Sundays. I'm calling you out a little bit. All in fun, though. All in knowledge, all in fun. Nothing harassing. But if you want to call, prove me wrong, I would love to hear your story, what your take is on it. So you can call on in. I really don't mind. Danny, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. And you know, I want to thank UFO News Network Sunday, Frank and James. Those guys are my close friends, and thank you to them for sticking up. You know, they're pros, and they stay professional. So I'm sure they would love to talk to you in a civil manner. So not that anything crazy is happening. Also, I'd like to shout out Kikala, my friend, and Chris Wolford, who we were talking about earlier. Dave, you know him.
Yeah, Chris is a good dude, man. Chris is a good dude. Good dude. We're going to definitely have to get him on one day on this show as well. But we love talking UFOs around here. So, you know, heading into this final half hour, unless the dudes from UFO Network News call in, let's get into UFOs. What do you think they are?
Wow. You know, I kind of fall back onto being an amateur reporter on some of this stuff, and I try to honestly stop short of making assumptions and making conclusions, and I try to listen to people around me, or just, you know, in the media rather. I think that, you know, there's probably something to this whole consciousness thing. That's been a real hot topic. You know, I don't think it's just metal craft from another planet. Maybe all the options that we kick around, crypto-terrestrials, other dimensions, other planets, maybe it's all true at the same time. Maybe there's a lot of different races and different breeds. It could be, and then there's the really, really pragmatic theory that, none of it is a phenomenon and it's just strictly secret human tech, which is almost as big of a story if we've cracked, basically anti-gravity or whatever you want to call it, and we have Tic Tacs flying around and we haven't shared that with the world. But me personally, there is a phenomena. It's here. It's flying around in the skies. It's in the oceans, and it's all these other places, and it's probably in a lot of places we don't understand. Especially me, I'm sure I don't get it. I would have to ask some of these pro scientists, but I just stop short and I listen to people like Jacques Vallée talking about it and things like that.
Do you believe that a lot of the craft that we are seeing are part of some sort of secret space program, maybe hidden black projects coming out of places like Lockheed Skunk Works or Boeing Skunk Works? Or do you think that we are dealing with a lot of alien craft that is just unknown technologically?
I go to comments. So another person I really look up to and does extremely important work is Jeremy Corbell. And
yes.
if I'm not misquoting him, I think he's basically said that he doesn't think that humans have figured out this anti-gravity craft, and he thinks that none of these things flying around are ours. Now, there's also the phrase of unfunded opportunities, which means, maybe we've came across some craft or we've shot them down or something like that, and we're flying them around. I don't know. Professor Diana Plasoka, who's the best, she has stated in interviews that, and she's an academic, and she's in circles with other academics and scientists, and when she brings up that maybe this stuff is ours, she says that she gets shot down immediately, that there's just no way it could be. So I don't know the answer. I don't know what tech is behind the scenes and what's hidden, but it's the $1 million question, I guess.
So just to update everybody, our good friends at UFO Network News Sunday says, too late for me. I've been running a UFO news feed on Facebook for almost a decade and have seen most local TV and newspaper stories from all over the country in that time. It's not a specialty for them, but they generally do a decent, quick hit job on the stories as they come up, which is true. We're not denying that. But when you work in a newsroom, it's not something that is going to make the front page, and a lot of these stories should. So I have replied back. I said, no worries, man. Next time, anytime you wish, I'd love to discuss this topic with you. And once again, it's all about discussion. It's not about yelling at each other who's got the bigger voice or the louder voice. It's about having a plain discussion. So I am opening it up to you, my friends. So if you want to come on this show or you want to talk to me on your show about it, the door is open for all of us to have a great discussion on the media role inside UFOs as well. So I think that's pretty cool. There's no harsh words here. We'll just play with it. And the door is open. That's what I will say. So I just wanted to get that out there, Danny. I apologize.
Oh, no need to apologize. Frank's my close friend, and I really appreciate having me on and you listening.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not so sure where the big disagreements are here. I think all of us aren't happy with how the media has portrayed the subject and the job that they've done.
Sure.
They've done a horrible job with it over the years, and I don't know if that's because of their own doing or because they've been kind of fed these opinions, in other ways, or just it's been shot down from their superiors or whatnot. But we're not happy with it. We're not happy with the media.
No.
That's what we're trying to change, and that's the big thing.
Well, you know what? That's actually a really good point. And by getting together to have those discussions, that's how we start changing the opinion, because more people hear it. More people hear the real narrative of the people that are like your friends over there, like Frank, who are doing the work. He's a decade in of reporting on this. I've got 15 years experience as a reporter, 10 in mainstream, and now into year 5 is this. So 14 in a little bit. I apologize. so we can have that discussion, and that's how it solves. But let's get back to the line of questioning in regards to it. Have you ever watched or researched Michael Schratt?
A little bit. I think I've heard him on Coast to Coast over the years, but I can't say I'm too familiar.
Oh, my friend, if you want to learn the best about the Black Ops, I think he's the number one guy out there. And everything that he has garnered has been in all mainstream publications. It's amazing. I would highly recommend to you and anybody listening on this show, Michael Schratt. YouTube him, Google him. He is all over the place. And that dude is smart and up to date. He's an aviation historian. He's a pilot. He is someone who has a lot of inside information. And he believes that a lot of these craft that we are actually seeing are man-made. Now, he's not saying all of them. He said, but a good portion, like the TR-3Bs, or you get into like the SR-72s, the SR-75s, which ended up replacing the SR-71 Blackbird, which retired in 1991. I highly recommend him. Watch his stuff. It blew my mind when I started getting into him, and I was like, I got to have this guy on my show. I have to. And by the way, we do have him coming back on Monday, February 4th. That's going to be a fun time. So yeah, it's going to be good. But make sure you check out his stuff because he will blow your mind.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, anytime. So with that, how do you take then, when you're looking into UFOs, how do you take a real sighting of a UFO comparatively to, say, a sighting of someone who has maybe seen a potential military craft? Is there a difference?
I don't know how to tell the difference. It's really hard to know what's what. It's hard to know what videos are real, what videos are fake, unless they're coming from different cameras of the same event, like maybe happened in Israel, although maybe some of those videos were fake too. It looked like a few of them were real. Belgium had different angles of the same craft. Phoenix had different angles. Stephenville had different people recording it all at the same time. That's what I mean by different angles. And it's just really hard to know what's what. Sometimes I think maybe even real videos are leaked onto YouTube and they're made to look fake. I'm not a CGI expert, but it's hard to definitively say either way. Like earlier you said that Tom DeLonge's TR-3B video was fake. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. I mean, it looks crazy. Maybe it was a real video and they tried to soup it up to make it look fake so they had the plausible deniability. I don't know. Maybe it was totally fake. Yeah, I just don't know. So it's really unfortunate that this day and age, we see a video and we don't know either way. We get a document and we don't know either way. And that's why, again, I just fall back to it's better in these official channels because it's harder for people to write it off. Now, we already know, but we're trying to convince others. And because of that, we need it through the official channels. Unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case.
You know what? That actually brings up a good point in regards to, needing those channels. And we don't know what is being put out there to dispel. We don't know who is putting out a lot of that. So what do you say about a lot of these UFO YouTube channels, UFO websites out there that are promoting a lot of this CGI and hoax? I mean, there is a ton of them out there. Some are very large with over 2 million viewers or subscribers. Some are tiny, but they're all trying to, push an agenda through. I mean, not everything we see is a UFO. It could be a street lamp. I have no idea. But what's your thoughts on that?
There's tons of fake videos on the internet that are obviously fake. There's a lot of people where this is their bread and butter and they got to make money, and they're kind of like the normal 24-hour news cycle of any large media corporation, but they're about UFOs. And it's like once you have that pressure on your back, you have to come up with something for your next YouTube video to be. So it's just a bad situation to be in. It's really interesting to me that to me, the most credible UFO information isn't extremely popular on YouTube. UFO Sunday, Frank and James, their show, I think, has probably some of the greatest information going right now. And they have a lot of room as far as growth. So, but then again, they're not showing, these sensationalized videos, and a lot of this stuff is getting sensationalized, and it's worrisome, and we need to watch out for that. And I think when we see it happening or we think it's happening, I think we probably need to be vocal about it and call it out. So I think that's definitely a concern, and it's probably going to get worse as this topic becomes just more public. Every once in a while I'll watch an Ancient Alien show, but that's a big debated topic. I mean, 90% of what you're seeing on the History Channel and on Ancient Aliens is probably not accurate. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's a hot take. But, there's a lot of stuff on there that's pure speculation and just not accurate. And then there's maybe 5 or 10% that's really great information. So you can argue, does Ancient Aliens help the subject or does it hurt the subject? Is it getting more people interested or is it feeding them questionable information? That's a big debate, and I don't think it's going to die down.
Yeah, it's a debate that's going to continue until people start getting some answers. And the problem is, I think the UFO community is getting so sick and tired of the hoaxers, getting so sick and tired of the same narrative when it comes to all of these government officials or whistleblowers, that they really don't know what to believe, even if the proof is right in front of their face.
Yeah, and that's how it supposedly has been done from the start, right? They always say if you want someone to not believe something, you actually leak the truth and you mix it up with a bunch of false information. And that does seem to be the case in a lot of ways. And then you mix in people trying to make a living and making money off this, and which isn't wrong in any way. I don't think it's wrong to make money off this, but you just have to be ethical about it. And once you get that pressure and you're famous or you have a big, avenue, it's like you have to keep doing this. It's like musicians, they put out a hit record and it's like, what's their next hit going to be? And sometimes you cut corners to do that. And it's unfortunate, to say the least.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. And unfortunately, that's where the message gets lost. And maybe, after all, to put a little bit of tinfoil on you and I, maybe that's the narrative the government wants, is they want this argument. They want this eye-rolling that is happening from those who are experienced and those who are trying to solve the experience. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. We don't know who's releasing these tapes.
You mean the Nimitz videos or just in general?
Well, outside of the three, okay? Outside of the three. Yeah. I can tell you right now, in my opinion, and my opinion only, I would love to see more of that Go Fast video, because to me, that looks like a missile or some sort of naval projectile that's been fired. It doesn't look like a UFO, but we don't know. We don't know how high it is off the water. We don't know anything. I'd love to see another 5 minutes of that video just to make some sort of assessment, but we're not getting that, unfortunately. And a lot of people will say, too, my friend, it's about controlling the narrative.
I misspoke when I said that the Nimitz videos, that there's more than one. There's just one, and then there's the gimbal video and the Go Fast video. There's other videos. There's a ton of more videos. Supposedly the Go Fast and the gimbal may have both been off the East Coast, so those could have been from similar events or the same event. And from what we're hearing, there's a lot more videos of each of these events. It's my opinion that there's smoking guns for basically each of these. Dave Fravor, the pilot, he said that there's clear video of the Nimitz encounter. I think there's probably smoking guns from the East Coast. I think there's smoking guns from Skinwalker Ranch. I think that the government has. I think that there's just smoking guns across the board. And hopefully one day we're going to see them. I don't know. As far as the, putting out information that may look a little bit less credible or something, maybe that's also to just keep people not panicking. I mean, I don't know. That way they can kind of, if they choose to, they can kind of write it off if they want to. I'm not really sure.
We only got about 4 minutes left with you tonight. What is the biggest message that you were trying to get along or out to the public regarding your studies into this field? What are we missing?
I'm trying to find out what we're missing, and I'm missing the same thing that everyone else is missing, and I think we're getting closer, and I think we need to support these guys, or at least get, or don't support them, but it's happening. It's 2019, and this stuff is coming out. We're getting it all over the place, not just from To the Stars, and until they prove us wrong, we need to keep riding with them, and I mean, it's almost like people would rather have the government not ever came out and the videos never come out. And that's just crazy to me. But there's a lot of other side stories that I think are extremely important. I think we're trying to talk to some of these scientists and some of their companies that are doing this UFO materials research. They're studying this stuff, and I think that's a huge deal. It's something you can basically prove or disprove in a lot of ways, maybe. A lot of these materials look like they were manufactured in zero gravity, and I think that's gonna come out in the next year, maybe 2 years. So that's a huge deal. There's the story that Tom DeLonge teased about a USO, unidentified submerged object. I think that story is probably going to come out this year. And it's just going to be more and more of this. And no matter if we like it or what we think of it, I think there's going to be more releases. And it's just everything's accelerated now.
It's going to be very interesting to see where this year goes, especially after last year. And that's why I'm excited to get Grant on in, a couple weeks. Actually, he'll be on next week, next Wednesday. Grant Cameron will be back on the show, and we're going to get into it heavily with him. And make sure you bring down your tape recorder so that way you can slow it on down, because Grant is a speed talker. I love him for it, but he tries to pack in so much in so little time. When you are out there in the field and you're doing your research, where do you look for your research? So if, say, somebody else wants to get into this, that they can take a look at it.
You have to find credible sources, and you kind of have to start digging around. Honestly, the internet has changed everything. I mean, can you imagine what UFO researchers had to go through before the internet? It must have been extremely hard. I mean, they were writing each other letters and talking on the phone nonstop, and we still do that too, but we're able to contact a lot of these players in this situation, and they'll talk back and answer your questions. So I feel like there's more access now because of social media and because of the internet. And I'm just like Grant Cameron, where he has his list of people that he thinks are relevant and know what's going on, and he watches them and studies them. And I basically do that same thing. I have a list of people, and once you're on that list, I'm listening to every single thing you're saying. I'm listening to all your interviews over and over again. I'm reading all your books, and I'm just trying to read between the lines and figure things out for myself.
Oh, yeah.
And, and I'm trying to basically put that on my website for the public to be able to see. And I really thank everyone for support. Oh, thank you so much. And I really thank everyone for supporting me. Honestly, I was with another website previously, and that situation dissolved. And I started my own website, and my own website, Silva Record, has only been here since about Halloween. So I feel like I've definitely accomplished more than I thought I would in this short time, and been able to break some stories and things like that. And we're going to keep digging. Everyone is on this. When the New York Times, when the story came out, it lit a dynamite, and there was already fires burning, but now it's like a bomb has been gone off, and it's not going to stop now. Everyone's digging.
I got to wrap this up. Danny Silva, thank you so much for coming on the show. Silvarecord.com is the website. We'll be back with the news after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is spaced out radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Hello. I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, BUMBLEFOOT.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've rounded third. We are heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and this is the time of the night where we put the news on the back end of the show with Mr. Olaf Phillips coming on up. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire at the back end of the show, going into the weird, the strange, the WTF. You can find all the news at our website, spacedoutradio.com. Click on the News tab after you've done your shopping at our store. And to bring us the news from paranoiamagazine.com is Mr. Olaf Phillips. Olaf, how you doing, man?
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. Another busy day today, talking UFOs, not much you haven't talked about before. What do you think?
I
want to ask you.
I like that.
I want to get a question in for you here, because Danny Silva was our guest from silvarecord.com, and I think he did a pretty good job. Right in the last bit of the show, I was asking him, and we'll look for a quick answer here. In regards to the, how can we put it? Terrestrial versus spacecraft. What do you think, in your guesstimation, that percentage is of what people are seeing up in the skies?
You know, I've always bought into the Valley Heineck thing, and that's 80-20. 80% are homegrown and 20% are unidentifiable.
80% UFO or 80% normal?
80% built by humans, formed by humans, probably from Lockheed, and 20%, I have no idea. I don't know where they're from. I don't know what they could possibly be.
This is why I'm excited to get, you're one of the best out there. We're going to get another one of the best, Michael Schratt, back on this show in February on the 4th, which is a Monday night. We got him for 2.5 hours. I think that's going to be outstanding, because I think between you two guys, I think you guys are real leaders in this field. But nonetheless, I digress. We got to get to the news. What do you got for us here, brother?
Dad creates snowmobile from a sled and 2 leaf blowers.
Nice.
I thought this would hit home. Yeah.
Very Canadian. Very Canadian.
Well, it wasn't Canadian. A video shows a Belgorod Russian man and his daughters test out an unusual mode of transport on a snowy path. The footage shows one of the girls sitting on a sled, which is propelled across the snow by the wind from 2 leaf blowers strapped to each side of the sled. The vehicle travels at about the same speed as the father, who runs along in front of the sled. So he decided he wanted to build a snowmobile for his kids, so pulled out a sled, 2 leaf blowers, and bam, snowmobile.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely
very
great.
ingenious. I think it's funny.
You know, I love it when people do that, because I'll be honest with you, man, I am all thumbs. I don't own tools for a reason. I have friends who are handy. I have friends who are electricians. I make sure I make friends with all the real men out there who can actually, and women, by the way, who can build things with and be creative with electricity and wood and all that kind of stuff, because I am absolutely useless. That's why I've had a desk job the last 20-some years, man, is because I just cannot build a damn thing. I tried to make an iguana cage, put it all out to spec, cut my wood, lined it up properly. You know the old check twice, check 3 times before cutting? Oh, yeah, still screwed that up. You know, I can't do that stuff. I gave up.
I'm good with electricity and plumbing. I understand things that flow. But building a house, I couldn't do it, I don't think. I mean, I think I can, but it would be challenging for me. I'd have to do it very, very, very slowly.
Yeah.
Because I understand how to do it, but
next year I'm building a hockey rink. Next year I'm building a hockey rink in my back, because that's easy. All I need to do is go get about I'm going to say 10 or 12 2x10s at about, I don't know, get the 12 footers, 10 to 12 footers. Build a little square because my driveway is 2-tiered. So my lower part of the driveway, build that up, put the snow in, put the plastic on, boom, water, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. I just got to figure out how to create the homemade Zamboni. That's the only thing I'm lacking right now. If I can figure that part out, I'll be a happy man. Let's get to the next story.
Man tried to sneak snake on a plane in his pants.
Ew, why?
Customs officers at a German airport said an attempted snake smuggler had secreted a serpent inside his slacks. Potsdam Customs said a 43-year-old man who attempted to catch a flight to Israel from Berlin Schönefeld Airport caught the attention of airport security workers when they noticed an unusual protrusion in his pants. The agency said officers made their most curious find in 2018. I guess it was late in 2018, when they discovered a small cloth bag hidden in the man's pants, which contained a 16-inch long boa constrictor. The investigators said the man did not have the proper documentation to travel with the protected species when he made the attempt on Christmas Eve. The snake was taken to a reptile rescue in Brandenburg. Officials said the man will be fined. So don't put snakes in your pants in Germany.
Yeah, of course not. Who does that? Who thinks that's a good idea? I don't get that. I don't
know.
You know, that sounds like it should be a Florida story with all the pythons and constrictor problems they're having there.
Well, this just in from Skynet. Grocery chain deploying robots to all locations. A Pennsylvania-based grocery store chain has announced robotic assistants are being deployed to all 172 of its locations. Giant Food Stores said Marty, a tall gray robot outfitted with googly eyes, will soon be present at all store locations to help identify hazards, including food spills, as well as perform tasks such as price checks. The robot is designed to perform tasks that will allow employees to spend more time on customer service. Giant's parent company, Ahold Delays USA, said Marty will soon be rolled out to Martin's and Stop and Shop stores.
That's dangerous.
Taking it over, man. Taking it over.
You know what? And the thing is, that's a shareholder move. That's not a move for the public. That's a shareholder move because it cuts down on wages, which cuts down on any corporation's biggest cost is wages. And when you have robots taking over those entry-level jobs and some skill jobs, I don't like that. Don't like that at all. I think if people were nice and people were smart and they cared about their community, they would boycott it. That's the only way we as the public can send those messages.
I totally agree.
Did you hear? I'm going to throw one in here for you. Did you hear that the Canadian government passed a law called C-46 recently where the police now have the ability to arrest you in your home up to 2 hours after you have been reported drinking. So let's say you go home, okay, you're out for drinks with your friends, and you do something stupid like drive home drunk, and then you go home and have a few more drinks. Because you were intoxicated in your house and somebody made a report of you driving 2 hours previous, you can still be arrested for drunk driving.
But they can't prove your level of intoxication at the time you were driving. I mean, I hate drunk drivers. Let me get that abundantly clear.
Me too.
I hate drunk drivers, but that's a little invasive.
Yes, well, it's a new law that has been passed, and it's getting a lot of opposition here in Canada these days because of that 2 hours. So now that marijuana is legal here, if you take the marijuana breathalyzer, and let's say you drive and somebody suspects you are impaired, even if you say drop your sunglasses or your headset or a donut on the floor of your car and you bent over to go get it and you kind of swerved, and you go home, you spark up a joint, now you can be arrested and fined for that issue.
I think that's freaky.
Yeah, it's totally freaky.
Well, can I lighten up the mood a little?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to bleep things here. Okay?
Okay.
Florida man calls 911, tells cops, "Take me to jail." Bleep! A Florida man's request to go to jail was honored on Sunday after making multiple 911 calls. When police arrived, Florida man yelled, "Come take me to jail, you bleep! There is no emergency here. I called 911, bleep!"
Wow.
Hold on, it gets better. Let's see. As the officer asked Meadows to come out of his bedroom into the living area, he yelled, "Are you scared of me, you bleeping bleep?" The affidavit said. The officer walked into his bedroom and placed him under arrest. On the way to the Indian River County Jail, Meadows cursed out the officer and stated he was going to attack and spit on me once they arrived at their destination. Last September, Meadows was arrested for puncturing his neighbor's tires. Last year, Meadows was arrested at Walmart after he called 911 multiple times and said employees were calling him a child molester.
Oh. Wow.
Oh, dear.
Wow. This guy must have had some major debts in prison that he had to pay off in order to want to go back that quickly. Or he had some major people looking for him on the outside, and he only knew that was an area that was safe.
Yeah. Totally.
That's too bad.
Oh, my other article disappeared. Sorry. Beep.
Oh, beep. No, that works for me, man. That totally
I had a really
works for
good
me.
one. I had a really good one. It was about a Florida guy. He was curious about public masturbation, so he went and masturbated in public, and they arrested him.
Well, why? Hold on, time out here. We don't need to go any further in that story, but Who thinks that pulling the goalie is a good idea in public? At what point do you have to be to say, you know what, I want to see if this law works? Why would I get in trouble for this law?
The story stated that the man was very curious about what would happen and what it was like to do that in public, and so he dropped his pants and proceeded to do that in public and was arrested. That's basically the gist of it.
Oh. I mean, how many breadcrumbs do you have to eat in order to get the energy to even do that in Florida?
To get arrested or to masturbate?
Both. Like, who sits there and says, hey, guys, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get arrested for pulling the goalie. Like, come on. Come on. It's terrible.
I don't have a good answer for you, but you like Florida stories, so I seek them out for you. And some of them are they're a little messed up.
I totally get it. Totally get it. On that note, shall we?
We shall.
Let's do it.
Thought of the day.
Perfect. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around these parts. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What's your thoughts on Robert Bigelow in the UFO field? You know, I really thought that this would get more play, Olaf. I really did. We got a number of responses, but not as many as I thought. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, Nid's vanished a while back. Maybe they don't know the full scope of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I get it, but let's get to the audience responses. Gail starts off. She goes, I believe because she has a crush on. There's two people Captain Shirk has a crush on. Number one is Robert Bigelow, and number two is Rob Zombie. I think it has to do, if your name is Rob, you are in dangerous territory around Gail. Plain and simple. Robert Bigelow,
Apparently.
Rob Zombie,
they look
both
alike.
with the UFO tie there. Oh, Gail's got the horns up for that one. Anyway, she goes, I believe Mr. Bigelow is an American hero. Oh. He made his fortune in the hospitality industry and is reinvesting it into the future of America's commercial space industry, which will most likely include dealing with UFOs and ET at some point in time. The man knows how to manage his money, time, and employees. He is successful in all areas and will be remembered as a pioneer in our journey into space. And then she ends it by saying, by God, I hope he's single. So I don't know why she would end it that way, but she did. Keith states, I believe it's a good thing. He seems to be doing what decades of UFO researchers have not been able to do. Plus, I love his tea. Mwah. I don't think that's actually Bob Bigelow's tea. But nonetheless, we'll give him credit for it. Kelly, I think he's doing a great thing with his time and money. I think he is just like Sir Richard Branson without all the pizzazz. I don't know. Bigelow has a pretty tight mustache and great hair. His hair is always brushed perfectly. So is Branson's. Branson has good hair as well. David, every time I see his name or hear of it, I think Deuce Bigelow. So I think he should be referred to as Robert Deuce Bigelow. But in all seriousness, I like him. I hope he uses his money and influence to unlock some UFO mysteries we all want to know. Joe, I like his Earl Grey tea. Once again, Bigelow, Earl Grey tea. Zuger, no comment. Gabe, definitely reminds me of a video game bad guy. I think the way he took over MUFON and people's experiences, I don't trust the guy. Michael, I think Bob Bigelow is a Moriarty of UFO research. Not that he is really a bad guy, but he gathers a lot of UFO data and doesn't share it with the public. I have not figured out what his motives are and his intentions as well. One possible intent could not be partnering with the U.S. government, or could be partnering with the U.S. government to bury the info so that the public cannot reach it through the Freedom of Information Act, a.k.a. FOIA, Well, that's been done. That was done with the $22 million. Chris Wolford.
Not $22 million completely. They didn't get all of it because they messed up and they didn't complete their end of the contract.
Sure. Chris Wolford, trying to get him on as a guest on this show. Misunderstood individual, overall good guy. Leon, he would be perfect if he shared his findings. I agree with Leon on that one. Elizabeth, acquisition of data yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Gregory, he's intelligent, successful, and believes ETs are here on Earth. What's more that needs to be said? I like him. You know, but here's the thing. Even if you go back to the 60 Minutes interview that he didn't provide any proof. Proof.
No, it goes into a pit. Everybody who deals with them has to find it. Look what he did with Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm. Musings on Twitter. Which Bigelow will you be speaking of? Bob or Deuce? Mandela effect or just old age? Who knows? On that note, where can we find Paranoia Magazine, my friend?
ParanoiaMagazine.com, Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, Paranoia Mag on Twitter, Paranoia Mags on Instagram. Listen to the podcast. It's really awesome.
It really is. Greetings and salutations, my friend. And you can find... Love that. And you can find all of our news by going to spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news tab right there. Captain Shirk has you all up to date with what is going on around in the world. And we say thank you to her for doing that, even though she has a big crush on sweet Bobby B and sweet Bobby Z, if I use the American term, because Z didn't really add up there. Thank you to Danny Silva for coming on the show tonight talking UFOs at silvarecord.com. Check him on out. Tomorrow night on the show, we got Ghosts of the Great White North. Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. From the television show Haunted Hospitals, Morgan Knudsen is back. We'll have a special guest as well. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thanks to everybody in the chat rooms tonight for making it fun. On Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. This is what we do every single night. We do it all for you because together, my friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.